Okay, welcome everybody to the World of Ability Podcast Network. But I am Emily Gomer and a virtual assistant, scheduler, podcast engineer here. But instead of doing a actual podcast like usually we're doing when I come on here, we are doing another live streaming with none other than Tony Budak with lifelong learning or raising the value of learning, which is kind of about the whole like time banking, mutual aid aspect of things. And we have a meeting every Thursday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Central that I've been coming to every week along with Kurt, which it's been a fun time. But coming back, I mean, just the whole thought of kind of the whole time making mutual aid, like helping others in general, is part of why I come back, other than Tony's a great guy. But so I've known Tony for a little while, but so I'm gonna bring in Tony. Welcome, Tony, and welcome to Joe. Why don't you say a little bit more about who you are? You do like how this lifelong learning thing started, and so on.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Well, I'm happy to be here, and so my experiences have led me to this point where I think we need to build a better future for our kids and for our grandkids. And one of the ways to do that is to tap into the skills and assets and wisdom of the people in our local communities. So what lifelong learning is about creating a relationship of teaching and learning, sharing information, collaborating at the grassroots level in the community, not waiting for the government, not waiting for corporate America, not waiting for money, but using the asset that we have and using the time that we have to work together. So if you come up with a program or an idea or a need that you can fulfill, you use the website, you use the interface, the data that we collect from the assets in the community, and collaborate and try to work on creating new ways to get along, new ways to create wealth, and not necessarily financial wealth, but the wealth of wisdom, the wealth of mutual aid. So that's in a nutshell. I don't know if it's a paradigm shift, and it's a new way of being and working together rather than being a professional consumer or being a client. It's about taking charge of your community through the members of the community. Any questions?
So I guess Kurt, that's awesome. So I bring in Kurt. Kurt, do you have anything you'd like to comment on or say today?
Well, maybe I should start with who am I? Who is this guy, Kurt Roscoe? So I'm out here out of Milwaukee, and so I come into the fold on this because back in 2014, I started to work with an independent living center on celebrating the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that was leading towards 2015, the 25th anniversary of ADA. And I helped them run what I called and call Ability Fest, which is now given rise to Global Ability Fest. But what happened in 2015 at Ability Fest in Milwaukee that I was running, we had about 30 exhibitors, one of which is the Milwaukee Area Time Exchange. And obviously I'm involved in this because I'm a bit of a community organizer and trying to do a lot to help nonprofits, community groups, and serve different demographics, and emerging on in the following years, I came to determine from the disability community that essentially I'm a disability ally. That's what they told me it's called, a disability ally. What a thing that I've emerged into. And so I've been looking at time banking as a great thing to really have another way, have an additional way to bridge the gap. And I saw the evidence in time banking as I learned about time banking around the world. I saw how people with disabilities were really thriving in time banking, and it really created that connection that other community members were meeting people with disabilities and creating a lot of nice, I might say magical, community connection. So that's kind of where I come into this, and it's emerged that I learned about mutual aid networks, and mutual aid networks do implement time banking, and all of this is just evolving what has been done since the beginning of humankind. So if you look at anthropology and you look at how people of the world interacted and how we want to be of service, there is this natural part of us as human beings, to interact and mix and mingle and offer what we have. And there are things that we figure out that others can offer us. So time banking is just kind of a right out there and in facilitation, putting through offers and requests, bringing it together. When you're in the midst of all this and you have time bank members, we have knowledge to share. And it's in this community worldwide that I learned the term more significantly. I think I heard it before, but it just really didn't become part of my repertoire, but now knowledge commons is something that I really appreciate, like Google. Google.com is kind of a knowledge commons, or a Wikipedia, and back in the day when we got encyclopedias. And so we can do this as individuals in real-time interaction. We can share information, and time banks have shown me how they've done skill sharing. So whether it's repairing bikes or other things, that when one member is able to do stuff that another member is not, we can have events where we can share that skill and capability. So I'm going to lean on somebody here today that has a skill and a capacity and capability through his company, EC Marketing for All, a fantastic firm that we get to know through Christian. Christian is on here, and we met Christian through a great community called Alignable. And through these online platforms where you can meet people like you can on the time banking platforms, Christian came to us, and he is very community minded, very humanitarian, and always, embracing the good in the rest of us here. So Christian, come on in here. This is going to be a great opportunity for our live stream audience, because you are being introduced to it right along with the audience. You maybe have like a 10-minute advantage on our audience in terms of getting to know Tony and, what are we talking about? So Christian, what are you getting out of what Emily, Tony, and I are talking about? What is this amounting to for you, Christian? What are you hearing? What are some of the buzzwords?
Well, thank you very much, very, very much appreciate the opportunity to be on here, be part with you guys, to share a space with such awesome individuals. Tony, we're getting to know here. Let's be realistic and authentic about things, but just from the beginning and his starting points, for you to want to do something for somebody else, that alone, I mean, that's okay. That's awesome to me. And in my book, that's awesome. So you do that as well as Emily. And so therefore and that's one of the beautiful parts about me being able to work through different things and understand and listen, hearing to understand. So I say that thank you for letting me come on and join you guys in this great opportunity, because we have been in the marketing and internet world for quite some time, over 2 decades. But really, my focus is more on giving back. It's really serving. It's really having a servant's heart. And I think that was me the whole time, because I love helping people. So with this platform or these electronic or digital relationships that we've started with Kurt and Emily and the other folks that join us, like Alan and whatnot, it's helpful because it also allows people to see that this can happen. Things can be created digitally. Things can be learned and taught from one another if we're able to. Beautiful thing we have as human beings, we can clearly communicate if we choose to. See, there's the caveat. We can learn new things if we choose to. We can do, but if we choose to. Now, there's a lot of things that, and just real quickly to pop in here, because we're excited about announcing our podcast network and net worth show, which is actually joining the World of Ability Podcast Network, Today's Disability Channel, and Project Die Hard. Fridays at 1 p.m. Every Friday at 1 p.m. You guys can also catch the replays on, and we're going to be streaming out to now, as of this week, to Spotify as well, and YouTube. So we're making some changes and adjustments because of my team and what we want to do. And it's just truly to uplift. So be ready to share with you in the chat. We want to share the name, the email, contact, the industry that you're from, and one link, whether it's a website or a product or service or an event that you have coming up. But we do this in regards to, and let me take that 22. Did you know that an average of 22 veterans take their lives each day? EC Marketing for All and its network of partners are committed to supporting organizations dedicated to veteran mental health and just mental health, and anywhere we can, just being a little bit more mindful, being a little bit more kind, and just listening a little bit more. And I think once we stop learning is when we start limiting so many things. So I am a learner of life. I learn from the littles, I learn from the older, I learn from in between. There's something to learn every day. It doesn't matter what you do. You can read the same book 1,000 times, and I promise you, they will tell you, you will get something new out of it every time.
There we go. Something new out of it every time. So again, gentlemen, we're here with the World of Ability Podcast Network. We're out there right now on LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, and who knows where else our podcast engineer Emily might have us out on. And here is Emily back. So Emily, let's get some interaction going with Tony. Tony's kind of rolling with us here, getting an experience for how Emily Gomer does live streaming, podcasting, show hosting. So Emily, what do you have for Tony so we can bring more out of what people have from Tony with all these Thursday events? What do you think, Emily? What are we going to do with Tony right now?
So Tony, would you like to say anything about the Thursday? Like what the meeting is about, or what if somebody came to it, like what would they be experiencing in like a Thursday event if somebody were to join us? If that makes sense. Because I know because I think you have like different topics that you like to talk about and stuff, right?
Well, we talk about anything.
Okay.
We have a Zoom session on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's an open agenda, and what we'd like to do is hear about what people's what their dreams are, what they want to do with their time, and what skills and assets they have, what skills and assets they might need in order to achieve those dreams. So we're trying to, coach or put together some tips and suggestions for how to achieve your dream, whether it's an event, a service, start a new website. I have a lot of connections. I have a lot of resources, and perhaps I can help and coach somebody achieve their dreams on Thursday. And, anyone's able to join in, like yourself and Kurt and Christian here, to make it a collective, to make it a community event where you come together, two heads are better than one, and it creates a support system for new things, for new adventures and new learning. So it's just getting together on Thursday.
Awesome.
Not revolutionary, really. It's old school.
Right.
But a lot of the teachings and fundamentals, Tony, to kind of unwrap your. It may be very simple, but the hardest things that we have in life are that simple. I'm going to take that and take it for a spin. I actually started my marketing business and agency along 2001 ago, and sales and training. But I started it at a new company in 2001, and this is why I'm sharing this, because I was challenged by the interviewer with a simple solution. I was turned away. I was turned away and not hired. That's not me. I get hired on the spot. Back then and anywhere I would go, I come in for an interview, I knew I was hired. And this gentleman, he gave me a simple question, and this goes back to old telemarketing days, where a lot of people may not remember, may not know, is we would pick up the phone and call a landline, yes, and then we would solicit or have a lead list to solicit folks on, right? So the premise of this was the customer's already said yes. He wants to purchase your product, service, whatever you want. His credit card is in the car, and and it's raining. How do you get that card number? How do you close the sale? I'm going to stop there and let any comments, anybody think of it. You're calling somebody, through the course of the conversation, they've already said yes. Credit card is in the car. The person is agreed to, but they cannot get the card because it is raining, and they have a rain phobia. I see your hand up, Kurt. What's your answer?
I mean, if you just need the credit card number and everything, I mean, you would think that they have a credit card bill or something like that to go get their credit card number from.
Hey, you've done better than me. You would have gotten hired probably before me. Thank you, Kurt. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I didn't think of that one. Emily, you want to give it a whack? What would you say? She's like, I'm busy trying to move controls, Christian. Mm-hmm. Tony, what other simple answer would you overcome that objection?
Well, write it down on a piece of paper.
Write it down on a piece of paper. The card number is in the car.
Yeah. Oh, it's in the card.
Yeah, the card, the actual number for the credit card is in the vehicle.
Okay.
But it's raining, and the person that you're talking to, is deadly afraid of being touched by rain.
So he's in the house, or he's in the business, right? So he has to go through the rain.
Correct.
Well, do it for him. Go out there and have him hold by and stand by and go get the card for him.
There's one. I didn't even. Again, you two would have probably been hired on before me, and then I would have come in and like I did. So I got turned away, and the simple answer was just what one of the ones that Kurt said. It was, It's easy. You have it. You get your banking statements throughout the month. But because I didn't think about that, well, wait a minute. I'm sure the person, if they use their credit card enough, they're going to remember the expiration or the CVC or you know, one of those things. Another thing he said is just wear an umbrella, a jacket. Cover yourself, because if you're that deadly afraid of being touched by the rain, you most likely have this equipment, have this types of material, things that are going to protect you. Gloves, boots, you know, because that's who they are. So we're not discrediting anybody or situation or saying that they're lying or different things like that. It was really listening to understanding how simple things are. He told me, go back home. He said, think about it. Call me tomorrow and tell me the answer. I called him because I called my friend and I said, hey, you told me I had this job in the bag. Why am I doing it with this interview question? And she said, well, what question did he ask you? And so I tell her, he goes, well, it's simple. Just get an umbrella. And I go, well, yeah, that is simple. All right, bye. So I hang up and I call him back and I tell him the answer. He says, okay, now you got this. Now it gives me another scenario and another simple thing. And then he goes, okay, answer that. And I go, and by the way, the second part was that one that you said, Curtis. Okay, so now let's say that they're not going to go outside in the umbrella. They're not going to go outside in the jacket. What's another solution, simple solution that you can, that's where I was like, wait a minute, my friend just gave me the answer to the first question. You're supposed to hire me. What are we doing here? He says, go back home, call me. Okay, so then I didn't wait for the next day. I called my friend right after and I said, hey, he gave me this. She goes, wait a minute. You can outsell me. I said, yes, but that's not what we're talking about here. He goes, so stop, calm down. And just because I wasn't breathing, I was so upset because I was not being hired on the first time. And she tells me, my friend, she goes, stop. So what is it that you get in the mail every month from your car company that you complain about? The statement, okay? And what's on the statement? Well, my building information and part of the numbers. She goes, exactly. And then if not, you have somebody else. Or to Tony's example, or that person may have an assistant. So they may not be able to go, but you tell your assistant or somebody else that can help you at the home or at the business that can go to the car and get the card. So that's why I said, bingo, bango. Both of you were right. If you would have been hired on the first day, I wouldn't have. So I got the third day. I came back in and he hired me after the third day. He said, see how simple that was? Oh, God, 3 days later, here I am. But what that taught me is that we overthink things that are so simple and basic. And we get ourselves caught up in these crises that there's no reason to crisis about. And if we stop and we slow down and we start taking that control, I don't know if this has anything with time packing or anything that you're going to share, but I really, truly want to share and end the story with, I did walk in and I have already been obviously not hired before. So they went through the whole information on this funny joke about me being hired and stuff like that, because it was a sales job amongst 40, 50 other individuals. And they thought it was funny that I couldn't get an answer. But it went as a training thing. And quickly in the first month, I went up in the ranks and I was really good. Long story short, in the first year, I made my first $100,000 at that company, which I had never done before. I was only 21. Within the first 5 years at the company, I got elevated to be a trainer. I bought my first home here in Southern California, and it was right down the street from that very VP that didn't hire me 3 days. I told him in the first year after I made that first big mark, I said, I want to buy my home, and I want to buy a home in your neighborhood. And he said, absolutely. So he set me down across from him, and we were in another session, but they said, when you sit next to the person that's in charge, That's not a good seat. And I will tell you, that's if you look at it that way. I needed the focus, Tony, Kurt, audience. I needed the blinders. I needed somebody with kindness to say, hey, I got you, man. Have a seat. This isn't punishment. This is for your growth. And sure enough, once again, top 3 out of, I lasted there about 11 years. I made a good chunk of money within the business industry. I learned a lot. That's where a lot of my training and my coaching and marketing seminars, and they were all paid for by the company, by the VP. He moved up to president, then he was let go. But I actually out tenured. I actually outworked. I worked there longer than he did at the end of it. And so he's still my friend today. And so I can tell you that these are things that are just long lasting and things that we can. And I love the opportunity to have a community being built by Tony or whomever, Kurt and Emily and Alan and whoever else is doing this, because it allows folks, at least me, it allows folks like me to let my guard down, to really be authentic, to really lend myself vulnerability, to allow other people to say, you know what? Wow, I've never heard of somebody like be like just like that. And so then they might be a little bit open more, or they might tend something in their perspective, or again, in anything that I can impact. I love to leave value. I love to create value. I love being of value. And again, that goes back to my servant heart in helping those that I can. And sometimes I can't help, and I'm sitting there going like, I can't help you, but here's a prayer. I can't do this, but there's a good thought. I mean, so it's definitely something that's impactful, and it's something that I've taught myself, and then I just share. But I am no teacher. I'm just a sharer in life. My mom was a teacher. She was actually a real teacher in Mexico, fully like certified and licensed and all of that wonderful stuff for a very long time, very great, successful. And she got into it because of the love for educating her village. She came from a rural village with one road, maybe 100 people total. And so I now just share that with folks that listen.
Kristen, you're real. You're a real person. I say that, and I hear your honesty. I hear your integrity. I hear your sincere community. Thank you for that. And by the way, I hope I can get your email so I can have a relationship and work with you later down the road. That'd be great.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you. I appreciate the compliment and your statement. Kurt, Emily, you guys did tell Tony that I don't do any loans, right?
I don't want any money, Kurt or Kristen. I don't want any money.
we go to the cliches. We go to the cliches, Tony, so that people can laugh and joke and
okay.
Because that's what everybody thinks. Well, wait a minute. And see again, it's because most people aren't used to doing for others, and we got to change that. We truly have to change that.
I'm telling you, man, you're speaking my language. I love it. Thank you. Yeah, that was the big lesson. I didn't emphasize that. I spent 40 years in a General Motors factory, a parts factory, and got active in the union. And the how do I put it? The power of the union, the solidarity, is only when you come together, when you're a community, and whether the community is 4 or 5 people at a union meeting, or the community is all of the membership of the union. It's that collective nature that creates the power and the wisdom and the ability to drive, to be better at whatever you're addressing, whatever the energy needs are at that time. So the idea of collaborating and working together is one of the big lessons of my life. That's why I do what I do. Because I think as so much about society here that splits us, that divides, that tries to divide and conquer, and we need to overcome that. So.
Oh, you want to get people shooken up too? Tell them religion. Tell them religion is actually working against them. Don't hear Christians say that. Oh no. Let me tell folks and let me inform. Let me just share knowledge. And this is another reason why I share this, because Tony said these are simple things. These are teachings that were taught in Greece thousands of years ago, folks. You're not new. And it's already there. It's information that is free. That's the worst part about it. And people say, well, books are knowledge. I say, no, that's definitely not true. You ever chuck a book at somebody? People don't. The hard Kurt's going, yeah, but Kurt mentioned encyclopedias. People don't know about encyclopedias. They are so expensive. Boy, if you saw somebody with encyclopedias, oh man, they are well off. They're educated. Now, every single person that has accessible internet can access information and tools to their delight. And the beautiful part about that encyclopedia that is online now, and yes, you got to fact check, and yes, you got to do your homework. Yes, you still have to do work. Just because it's handed to you on a silver platter or through a streaming device doesn't mean that it's just going to be made for you. However, you can learn, you can better yourself. And that's how because in my early 2000s, when I started that job, I told you guys that I made quite a nice chunk of change. I didn't tell you guys how easy it was for me being in my 20s to blow right through it, boy, because I had absolutely no financial security or financial responsibility or education, which we're going to go ahead and plug in my buddy, Mr. Rudy. He's got some financial goals that he is equipping me. And so I bring that into what you just said, Tony, and kind of compiling that with Rudy, and then kind of throwing it back on me in regards to how it applies. Is there are these great tools, just like you're a great sharer and a great community member. You sharing your wealth, and it doesn't have to be money, with your experiences. If you can share your experience with me, then I may learn from your mistakes rather than me making my own mistake. And I'm going to make mistakes, but now I can exclude the ones that you have if I'm careful enough and listen to you. And then I can bypass what a lot of these self-help books and a lot of these people, you can skip 10 steps because you're learning from somebody that's already been through them. Absolutely. And we can do this without profit. Or we can do it with profit. But again, as your wealth increases with either education or with your health or with your time, somebody else is equipping their money and investing in their money. They don't care about their time. They don't care about their wealth. They don't care about their health, about their relationships. They care about their money. But what I'm finding out, and what a lot of our successful-minded folks are finding out, is that you have to have that balance. Because if not, you end up, that money that we're stacking, now you're paying a personal trainer. Now you're paying a health coach. Now you're paying a cook. Now you're paying an assistant. Now you're paying a nanny, a therapist. And now you're paying 10 people to help you fix what you thought was irrelevant. And it's not irrelevant. It can be interchangeable, but it's not going to go away. And the problem by ignoring it, kids don't just go away. They grow up to be grumpy adults and have a relationship that mirrors what you treated them like in the beginning. And boy, again, wake up If we don't understand how we treat our elders is how we will be treated as elders. How we treat our youth now is how we're going to have our future. So how are we not shaping and supporting more of this youth, more of these ideas, more of these spirits? Again, because we want to divide. Well, your idea may not be as good as mine, so come on over. No. Let's share paths. Let's share ideas. Let's share energy. Tony, what you got going on over there today? Whoop, whoop. All right, let's support it. Let's see how we do it. Emily, what you got going on today? I want to support it. I want to be informed. Kurt, what you got going on today? I want to know. I want to be involved. I want to cheer you on because it's right, because it's helpful, but because I want to. Because that's just what is in my nature. And so I talked about religion and how that's actually, because again, and everybody can go back to the history books and the internet, but there was no religion. Every religion is man-made. And I am very spiritual, and I am very connected with my spirituality and my walk and my living, not talking, but living. And so therefore, I tell you, and of course, challenge anyone that wants to come on and to tell me that religion is not man-made or that it's not for certain groups to identify and exclude other groups that don't identify with those common core beliefs.
No argument here, Christian.
And this is what makes my heart. This is what makes my heart smile, is to be able to have conversations with like-minded people, not have to excuse myself, not have to apologize, not have to watch my tone. And so that for me is a breath of fresh air.
Sounds good. Thank you, Christian. Yes. I guess I'd sort of maybe go around and anybody have any last comments before we wrap up or anything like that? Kurt, any last comments from anybody?
Well, I'll say here we go. We did this. We've been meeting for an exorbitant number of weeks and plugging away here with various different people and going through the motions of what we described today. And we are ready to bring in an onslaught of new participants. And so feel free to share this around, everybody, and let people know that Tony Budak is on Zoom, ready and waiting for them every Thursday, 2 to 3:30 Eastern every Thursday. How about that? 90 minutes set aside for each and every one of you. Come join us. Let us know. You can reach me anytime you want. If I can help put this together for you, my number is 262-372-1754. And you can reach me at Kurt, K-U-R-T, at spiritofthegain.org. So, Tony, you got any last thought?
Oh, yeah, my email address is Tony Budak, TonyBudak, @tbmw.org. So please send me an email and I can follow up with the Zoom link. We can talk about your agenda, your dreams, and get ready for an interview on Thursday. And again, Tony Budak at tbmw.org. Hope to hear from you. That's it.
I'm leaving you my info in the chat as well, Tony, and
yeah, sure.
open invitation for tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.